Poll after poll shows that a strong majority of the American people oppose sending more weapons and military aid to fuel Netanyahu's vicious and destructive war machine. And I would also add, because some of this has come up, that according to a poll commissioned by J Street, a pro-Israel Jewish organization, 62% of Jewish Americans support withholding weapons shipments to Israel until Netanyahu agrees to an immediate ceasefire. And let me just mention a few who think that the time is now to stop giving money to Netanyahu, to ignore America's laws and our values. Some of the major trade unions in America, the SEIU, the United Auto Workers, United Electrical Workers, Amnesty International, the Arab American Institute, the Association of U.S. Catholic Priests, the Friends Committee on National Legislation, Oxfam America, the Episcopal Church, the United Church of Christ, the United Methodist Church, General Board of Church and Society, the American Baptist Churches USA, the Global Ministries of the Christian Church. These amendments, these resolutions have strong support all across this country by people who understand that we cannot continue to fund the horrific war machine and the atrocities that Netanyahu is committing. These resolutions come down to a few basic points. First of all, should the United States government obey the law? And the law is very clear, is that we as a government cannot fund other countries who are in violation of international human rights or who are blocking humanitarian aid. Now, if somebody here wants to come down and say, I don't like that law. The United States government should give money to any government they want, no matter what they do, no matter how atrocious their behavior is, come down and change the law. But that ain't the law now. The law is based on moral principles that says when the United States provides military arms, those countries that receive those weapons cannot violate international human rights and cannot block humanitarian aid. And that is precisely what Israel is doing. That's not me who says that. That is what virtually every humanitarian organization working in Gaza right now says. So if you believe that we should obey the law, you got to vote for these resolutions. Number two, from a moral perspective, we cannot turn a blind eye to one of the worst humanitarian disasters in the modern history of this world, a humanitarian disaster that we are significantly funding. My colleagues, as we speak, thousands and thousands of children in Gaza are starving to death. In an area of 2.2 million people, 43,000 are dead. Over 100,000 have been injured. We cannot turn a blind eye to that humanitarian disaster caused in part by U.S. financial support to Netanyahu. And thirdly, I heard about the United States' role in the world. Well, I will tell you that our role is significantly diminished if we continue to support Netanyahu and this humanitarian disaster that is currently taking place. What is the moral standard that we have to critique other countries. How do you critique Iran for their terrible human rights record? How do you critique China or Russia for their terrible human rights records? Because if you get here on the floor of the Senate and you make that critique, people around the world will laugh at you. And they will say, don't give us advice, don't criticize us when you have supported the mass starvation of children with your taxpayer dollars. So, Mr. President, this is a very important vote. It's an important vote because it tells the world that we will not continue supporting a government which violates American law, which violates international law, and which violates the humanitarian standards that I would hope every member of the Senate upholds. And with that, Mr. President, I would yield the floor.